أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم اللعين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد والمحمد. يا أخواني وأخواتي, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Dear brothers and sisters, may the peace of Allah be upon you, inshallah. So we'll continue with some lectures, some interesting chapters from this book, The Malay Art of Self-Defense, Silat, Seni, Gayong, Sheikh by Sheikh Shamsuddin, which is a 9th degree teacher. I think he's the highest ranked person now in the art. So there is some information about him, some documentary on National Geographic and stuff like that. So I had the opportunity to check them with my family. So the man is reachable. So there is some interesting chapter regarding the origin, and another regarding yes, this part is chapter number 14. Important topic. The last owner highlighted some part of it, and this is very interesting. So chapter 14, message to all practitioners. It is rational to say that all systems of martial art have strong and weak points. This is a fair point, because every style of martial art suffers some kind of hypertype. It is, as before, all martial arts are complex. Sometimes they took lifetime and great teacher to master them. With the time, with the sport discipline, there is some section of the art. So some art are dedicated to percussive martial arts, some with some of throws, wrestling, and stuff like that. So there is an area of specialization in the martial art. So ultimately, there are some weak and strong point. So the brother Brian Benz asked me if I am Sufi. I'm from a mixed background. So from my maternal part, this is from a Sufi family, from الشدلية النصرية, from Algeria, from a family descendant from Abd Salam bin Mashish, for those who know, which was the teacher of Shadli. And so my family, my mother family is from a Sufi background with Maliki madhab. The essential point is that there is no superior art. It is an art. And the word here, Seni, you find here, you find also in Arabic, Sana'i, means art. This is from Arabic roots. Therefore, it is a learning process. The essence of learning self-defense is sincerity, loyalty, righteousness, humility. For those who don't know, loyalty come from the Arabic al-walaya, the bond you put in front, in the first place, even your genetic bonds. This is the concept of walaya, and this is very present in Shiism. There is a variation in Sufi understanding, which is called wilaya. So there is walaya, al-awla, wali, and wilaya, which is a reference to sense. So in the Shia denomination, al-walaya is a reference to Ahl al-Bayt and the a'imma minhum. And in the wilaya, this is an adaptation to sense of the Sufi creeds. So in walaya, there is a notion of kind of perfection and infallibility in terms of ahkam shar'iyya. So in religious verdict and stuff like that. And in wilaya, there is more a notion of sanctity of the individual with hard dedication and understanding. So there is a distinction, and it is important to understand that. The essence of learning, self-defense, is sincerity, صدق بالعربي, loyalty, righteousness, humility, and the ability to change and to sincerely accept each of these elements of integration. So, a kind of reformation. Pride, ego, greed, arrogance, miserliness, and jealousy are qualities that will gradually destroy. So this is in fact defects. Remember, Satan was once among the angels. So there is, of course, some proponents that say that Iblis, la'natullah alayh, was in fact from the jinn, and says, but he was surrounded by angels. This is also true. Remember, Satan was once among the angels, but because of his pride, ego, and feeling of superiority, he became the devil. Opening of citation, there is a piece of organ in human's body. When it is in a good state, the whole being improves, and when it is in a bad state, the whole being falls apart. Beware, that piece of organ is the heart. So there is a picture of the world, and there is a reminder here, which is very interesting. The collected sayings and biography of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, forming the second great religious text of Islam after the Quran. The Quran is the holy book of Islam. So in fact, Islamic teaching are in the orthodox way related to Kitabullah Azza wa Jal, Al-Quran, and Al-Ahadith, Al-Akhbar. So the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. So there is various interpretation of the Sunnah. For the Shia, for example, this is a Sunnah maintained in the school of Ahl al-Bayt. And for the Sunni, there is no distinction between Sahaba and Ahl al-Bayt. So they are considered in fact as Ashab al-Nabi, like the rest. So there is the school of Ahl al-Bayt, which is a specific school, and the school of larger, broader interaction, which is the school of the Sahaba, and this is, of course, Ahl al-Sunnah wal-Jama'ah. So there is different source for the ayn of the protection of the teaching of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa. So I wanted to share this part, and we're gonna also look at a part presenting the history of Silat, which is interesting, which is interesting because there is some etymology from the author himself. Chapter 2, a brief history of Silat. The exact origin of Silat is uncertain. First thing, even specialists, even teachers know, and this is an accepted fact, that the exact origin of Silat in the certain is uncertain. And so the etymology of the term, it is important. However, there is evidence of both cultural and combative influence from other countries, such as India and China. And this is evident. For those who don't know, Indonesia, like Malaysia, are around the Chinese Sea, and also have great interaction and were Hinduist at some stage. Mix of Buddhism, Hinduism, and before the advent and the stabilization of Islam as a faith for the Nusantara and also the continental Malaysia. So there is a connection with Chinese influence, and you have this in the martial arts, local martial arts you find in Indonesia called Kuntao, which is an interpretation of Chinese martial art by the Indonesian with a mix with their own endemic martial arts in various styles. So many styles of Indonesia, for example, are strictly Ulin Macau, stuff like that, have strong interaction with Chinese martial art. So this is a well-known fact. Also, you get the Majapahit dynasty just before Islam, which was from Hinduist allegiance. So there is a influence also of the Hinduist, and you have also the story of the saint who comes from various countries, from China, from Arabic countries, also from Iran and stuff like that, which is the Wali Songo, the 10 cents. There is 10 cents, 9, 10 cents, which were strangers and worked at the king court at the time of Islamization of Indonesia and Malaysia. So there is in fact a produce of the Southeast Asian culture, the Malay, Sunda and stuff like that culture of Malaysia, culture of Indonesia, but you have also a mix with great spheres of cultural significance, like the Indian tradition, the Chinese tradition, and also the Islamic tradition. Martial arts author Dun F. Drager and Kuntun Chambers acknowledge the fact that Silat is a genuine Malay art in the book Javanese Silat, The Fighting of Perisai Diri. Malays are the people who inhabit the Malay Peninsula, peninsular Malaysia, and part of adjacent island of Southeast Asia, including Indonesia, Borneo, and Singapore. Malay, particularly in peninsular Malaysia, consider the legendary warrior Langsa Mana Hang Tuah, Admiral Hang Tuah, of the 14th century to be the father of Silat. So, there is maybe conflicting report about that, because in Indonesia, for example, Silat is connected to some other historical figure. So it depends to the region. Maybe it's a reality in Malaysia. In Indonesia, Silat, for example, is connected to Aba Qahir. And cement is a style that had influence on all the Japanese Silat styles. And Aba Qahir is considered in certain reports as being from Arabic origin. And in some other report, it was a Badwi, so a tribe from Indonesia. So there is conflicting report about some historical figure of the time. There are various theory and speculation about the origin of Silat. So this is an alleged fact. Nevertheless, none have profound evidence of support. So there is conflicting report, but few strong evidence or profound, which is needed to establish the affiliation of Silat. Because there are many types and styles of Silat, there is no one founder of this type of self-defense. Because in fact, there was some common ground for the development of the art in the hands of some masters during the age. And this is also a natural expression of defense from some kingdom, from some civilization. So this is more a non-enrichment in terms of perfection, taqwim, so many layers which made a summation of knowledge and also transmission. Concrete proof describing the development of various Silat style is difficult to find. History denotes that Silat existed as far back as the 7th century AD. Most likely during that time, the defense form were still in the infancy stage. So very rudimentary technique. It was not until 14th century empires such as the Malacca and the Majapahit and the Sri Vijaya that Silat was refined. It became the specialized property of the Sultan and their Panglima and Pendekar warriors. So there is a relation to the stabilization of Silat with Islam and with some kind of Islamic local governance in the name of the Sultan. At that time, places such as the Malay Peninsula, Bali, Java, the Sulawesi, and Borneo Island. So you can see here on the map, there is a detailed map of this region. So this is, you got here Philippines. Sorry, you got here the Philippines, you get here Indonesia, and you get here Malaysia, and here southern Thailand. So at the time, places such as the Malay Peninsula, Bali, Java, the Sulawesi, and Borneo Island were all under the influence of their 14th century empires. Later, as empire was weakened by civil wars, Silat began to spread slowly throughout Southeast Asia, from Java to Sumatra, to the Malay Peninsula, to Sulawesi Island, to Borneo Island, to the Philippines, and to other areas within the Southeast Asian continent. When the people living in the region were under the authority of foreign colonial powers such as the British, Dutch, Portuguese, and Japanese, and also the Spaniard. Silat was regarded as a means to cultivate national spirit and was strictly prohibited because anyone caught practicing Silat was severely punished. Silat activity were continued in secrecy. So in fact, this is what is called taqiyya. That's why you got many dances, like with the history of capoeira, trying to dissimulate, and also disseminate the teaching, the martial art teaching in an undercover way. After the people of the region had been liberated from foreign authority, the growth of Silat spread rapidly. Several countries within the region began to standardize Silat by forming a national organization. In Malaysia, the Persatuan Silat Kebangsaan Malaysia (PESAKA), Malaysian National Silat Federation was formed. In Indonesia, the Ikatan Pencak Silat Indonesia (IPSI), Indonesian Pencak Silat Association, was formed. In Singapore, Persatuan Silat Singapore, etc., etc. Same thing, federation from Brunei, etc. Today, Silat has emerged as a national standard and spread into Europe and Western world, in the United States, etc., etc. And more information about the history of Silat can be found in the Weapons and Fighting Arts of Indonesia, written by Don F. Drager. So, some interesting supplement regarding the specific art of Silat and his history. The chapter 1 is also important because it contains some etymological material to the understanding of what is Panchak Silat. So, chapter 1, what is Silat? Silat is a combative art of fighting and survival believed to have originated from ancient Malaysian and Indonesian civilizations. So, this is in fact in a time where the two were not independent state, and they share the same common language, if I'm not mistaken, the Bahasa. Until recently, there have been no fixed form of instruction. It has now evolved to become part of social culture and tradition, and is a fine physical and spiritual training. There are various styles of Silat. Silat Barong Putih is based on bird style fighting. Silat Timond of Abaqahir is water buffalo style fighting. Silat Tikalong is crane style fighting. Silat Haremo is based on tiger style fighting. Not all Silat are fighting arts. Some are merely dancing forms, such as Silat Purut, Ibingan. The definition of the word Silat varies from one guru or Sikh teacher to another. The Malay dictionary defines Silat as Seni, art, Sana'i, with the Sana'i in Arabic, with the intelligence to attack and defend gracefully. Another meaning states that Silat originated from the word kilat, so meaning lightning. A practitioner tries to acquire the characteristic of lightning, so nur in Arabic, speed, dominance, sharpness, fluidity, and danger. So there is some explication from various masters. The word eventually came to be pronounced Silat. So it started from Kilat, it became Silat. So it's a little bit problematic in the etymology because this is not the same root at all. Another meaning states that the word Silat originates from the Arabic language. From the Arabic language. Silat. Silatul Rahim. Some etymology state it was Silah. And this is what the author will explain in the line coming. If the word Silat is spelled with the Arabic letter Sin, the word Silat means brotherhood. If the word is spelled with the Arabic letter Sad, it means weapons. This weapons is Silah. Some believe that the word Silat originates from the Malay word Silap or Solat. Solat means to pray or concentrate. Here the problem is Solat in Malay is from the Arabic Salat, which means praying. So here the root is still Arabic. To pray or concentrate and to communicate among mankind and the Creator. Silap means imprecision, the hidden concept of defending oneself by making intentional mistakes while seeking and sensing the adversary open movements. So this is in fact some tricking concept technique. And this is also from Islam. For those who don't know, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa in case of war allows the Muslims and believers to use some tricks in terms of warfare, of course. So making intentional mistakes while seeking and sensing the adversary open movements, Lanka Silap dan Lanka Sambang, to abort the physical attack. And this was what one of my master in Silat, Panglipur, Kang Sesep, Arif Rahman, told me. It's like fishing. You throw something, fish come to seize it and in the direction you want, and this is when you pull your line. So this is something. Left some openings, they go for it, and you can exploit from. This is a setup, in fact. This is a trap. And trap is from also the Arabic turab. Because the word trap, it was holes in the dirt or in al-ard. And so people fall. And you can cover the trap, can cover the hole, and people fall inside it. And a famous woman of the history of Islam find her death like this in the hand of Muawiyah. Another definition defines Silat as the Malay art and science of armed and unarmed combat. Yet another meaning of Silat is simply to ward off. In Indonesia, the art is commonly referred as Pencak Silat. Pencak Silat, also spelled Pencak Silat, means to defend oneself. until it is also called Menpo in Indonesia. Now it's called Pencak Silat, but it's more Pencak in Indonesia and more Silat in Malaysia. But now they use both as a unified term. In Malaysia, the word Silat or Seni Silat are frequently used rather than Pencak Silat. Seni means art. It is an internal, delicate, wise, and elegant. It is substance that one cannot comprehend by theorizing it, but rather by sensing it. So, with the محسوسات, الحس, إحساس, feelings. Seni Silat is analogous to spiritual and physical well-being. Bar Silat is a verb. It means to do Silat. In view of the fact that Silat has some Indian and Chinese influence, some believe that the word Penchak might derive from Chinese word Pencha, avert or deflect, and the word Silat from the Chinese word Sao La, push hands, or to perform with the hands. There are variety of Silat in Malaysia alone. There are more than 150 known styles of Silat. So there is an interesting list of schools for those interested by the book. So some Silat are performed with Malay drums and other musical instruments. So there is a notion of measures, of rhythm. So for those who don't know, rhythm come from the Arabic, even the Persian, al-Khawarizmi, Khawarizm. So algorithm, and it was divided. So only rhythm. So rhythm is in fact the science or the bit of measures, and measures is derived from مصور. So to have the same amount of same quantity of this or that. So this is also from an Arabic etymology, because Arab was the leading language in terms of spirituality chosen by God, and also in the Middle Age. It was the language of knowledge. So some silat are performed with Malay drums and other musical instruments, while more vigorous and less rhythmic silat are not. Whichever silat style you learn, each is unique and stand on its very own. To assume that they are all similar is oversimplification. Of course, there is numerous styles and there is some high degree of variation, even if in most cases they share some common principles, and they differ by only by specific technique. In general, Silat technique use hand and foot maneuverings. The principle of Silat is to evade attack. Training in Silat include cultural, spiritual, and mental aspect, as well as tumbling, striking, kicking, blocking, and agility movement. Many movements are described by names some are poetic, some are named after an animal movement, and some are metaphors. Metaphors which are, of course, used by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his book, Al-Quran, and also reference to animal, which is also in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also the direct comparison of the book of Allah, the verse in the book of Allah, and poetry. So there is some links, even at the Quranic level, between the conception of Silat and the ideal of martial arts and the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there is some example. So there is here the musical instrument, of course, from many people that knows the riwayat. There is some authorization of some instrument, some case in some occasions. So this is many people try to show only the instrument in bad lights, but in the Shia tradition, for example, there is around 28 hadith, if I'm not mistaken. I have it on some book containing music, and you have 14 which give authorization on specific that limits, that remove the total impermissibility of dealing with instrument, etc. And this is the case also in the Sunnah of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. In their book, there is some instance when some companion try to refrain musical execution, even chant, even singings, and the Prophet make some intervention to make it continue and stuff like that. So there is some indications, qara'in, of the permissibility in some case of music, and there also the position of various scholars, including Al-Ghazali for the Sunnat, which explain in his book Ihya Ulumuddin on chapters regarding Sama' on the permissibility of certain kind of music for certain application. And he can do that because he's not only agnostic, but a specialist of Sharia. And so he knows the relevant hadith, he got teacher and stuff like that. We can teach him the relevant tradition. So there is some example of the name of the techniques in Silat, Seni, Gayong. Serangan Harimu, Tiger Attack, Kasip Emas, Golden Slicer, Tarayan Kuda Jila, Crazy Horse Dance, Tali Gantong, Hanging Rope, Ular Sawa Beredam, Sinking Python, Timong Puteri, Winding Princess, Patadayong Nasi, Hangit, Broken Paddle, Overcooked Rice, Malaikat Maut. So this is Arabic. Malik al-Maut, or Malaika al-Maut, Malaikat Maut, Angel of Death. So Silat is a Malay symbol of identity, as in Taekwondo for Korea and Aikido for Japan. However, Silat is understood to be a creation by an ethnic Malay group rather than an art coming from a specific country. The characteristics that make Silat distinctive from other martial arts include its use of the culture or tradition of Malay ethnic group as its source and model. First point. Second point, mental, spiritual, artistic, graceful, and flowery movement similar to Malay classical dance paired with seemingly incompatible martial aspects. So in fact, the word of violence. Third point, looking slantingly to the ground and sensing the adversary movements rather than using direct eye contact. In some distance, the practitioner seems to be in a trance-like state and possesses an airy ability to anticipate the opponent's movement. So, the refrain to look straight in the eyes. In some other martial arts that I had the opportunity to train, all kind of Filipino martial art and stuff like that. I think they like to look straight in the eyes, maybe because there is a blade or a weapon, a stick, and stuff like that. But many martial arts don't look straight in the eyes. In fact, Filipino martial arts is the first time for me. Maybe this is a school I'm learning, which gives because this is close quarter use of the stick. But normally, even in boxing, we don't look in the eyes. Thai boxing, Western boxing, stuff like that, we don't look in the eyes. We use parallel viewing, and looking in the eyes can distract you and can hypnotize you in a certain way. So we in many martial arts we avoid looking straight in the eyes. So this is the end of this video. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa Muhammad. I hope it was useful, and التمس الدعاء. الله معكم. إلى اللقاء. مع السلامة.